Fishman. As always, if you guys are enjoying these lessons, be sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps the cause. And if you want to check out all the cool stuff that Fishman is up to, including these awesome Fluence single width Strat style pickups that I have in my beautiful custom Strat today, you can check out the link in the video description. So this lesson today is for my beginners. All right, this is a song that has 4 chords and a guitar solo that's mostly played on 1 string. So my beginners who are watching, this one's for you. And my intermediates and my advanced students who are watching, I want you to do me a big favor in this lesson today. In the comment section, let's send a lot of good vibes to our beginners who are learning this song today. All right, let's give them a lot of good vibes and a lot of encouragement. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you all so much. So today's episode is pre-recorded, but don't worry, we're still gonna have a lot of fun. So get your electric or your acoustic guitar in standard tuning for this one. I'm playing an electric today. So get that all tuned up and ready to go. As always, you know I like to ask a question, so let me know where you are tuning in from and your favorite sad song. So here is Last Kiss, famously covered by Pearl Jam. Here we go. That's going to be the song that we learned today. Again, famously covered by Pearl Jam, originally written by Wayne Cochran back in 1961. So again, a sad song, a very somber song, but a beautiful one nonetheless. So I'm going to teach you how to play it. So for my beginners, I'm sure you've noticed, and everyone who's watching today, right? The chords are pretty simple here. So we are in the key of G. Here are the 4 chords that we're playing. So we've got G major, we've got E minor, we have C, and we have D. So for a little bit of theory here, if we're talking about, okay, well, what's the Nashville number system, numerical chord progression that's happening here. So G would be our 1, E minor would be our 6, C would be our 4, and D would be our 5. All right, and that's the whole song, right? Our intro, our chorus, our verses, that's everything the song is using, those 4 chords. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So when we are playing our G chord, here is the version that we want to play. So we want you to get your first finger on the 2nd fret of that A string. That's our B note. So remember that the G chord consists of 3 notes, G, B, and D. 1 is G, the 3 is B, and the 5 is D. So right there, that B note, that's our 3rd, all right? So you're gonna get your 2nd finger here, 3rd fret of the E string, that's our G note, so that's our 1, that's our root. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to get your 3rd finger, placing that on the 3rd fret of that B string. That's our D, so that's our 5. So right there, we got all the notes that we need. But we're going to add one more too, just in case, right? We're going to get our 4th finger here on the 3rd fret, that E string. That's our G note. Strum everything. So that's how we get there, all right? So now we have our E minor. What we're going to do, I like to play it with my 2nd and 3rd finger. So get your 2nd finger, placing that on the 2nd fret of that A string. That's again our B note. You're going to get your 3rd finger here, placing that on the 2nd fret of the D string. That's our E. So when we're thinking about, again, a little theory here for you guys, the 3 notes that make up E minor, all right, so that formula in building a minor chord would be a 1 flat 3 5 versus our major of a 1 3 5. So in this case, the 1 flat 3 5 of E minor is going to be your E is your 1, your flat 3 is G, which lucky for us is an open string, and your 5, which is B, B as in boy. So with this E minor, we've got it, strum every string. Okay, so there's your E minor there. The next chord we're going to play is C. So for my beginners, 1st finger, 1st fret of the B string, that's our C note. Again, the 3 notes that we're looking for, the 1, 3, 5 that builds a major chord in the chord C major. Okay, it's going to be C, E, and G. So let's go ahead and find them. So we've already found our C, first fret of that B string. Get that second finger, second fret of the D string. There's our E, there's our third. Check that off the list. Third finger reaches up here to the third fret of the A string. Now keep in mind here, we want our fingers to curl, okay, like a bridge, all right? Want to get as close to those frets as we can without touching them. If we're a little too far away, it's going to sound thuddy. See how I'm not close to that third fret? Then once I get there, it's nice and clear. So get as close as you can to that fret without touching it, all right? So that's our C chord there, and remember there's that open G, so that's our 5. Now we're going to strum from the A string downward on this chord, all right? And our final chord in the song is going to be D major, so what we're going to do here, first, second, and third finger, okay? Those are the 3 fingers we're going to use. The notes that build this D major chord are going to be D, F sharp, and A. D is our 1, F sharp is our 3, A is our 5. Let's find them. First finger, second fret, the G string, that's our A. All right, so that's our 5th. Second finger, placing that on the first, or excuse me there, second fret of the E string, F sharp, that's our 3rd. And then our third finger placing that on the D note, which is our root, 3rd fret of the B string. Strum from the D string downward on this one. So that's what's happening there. Those, for our very beginner entry level, right, those are the chords we're going to use, those 3 chords. So let's go ahead and talk about the strumming pattern. So what we're going to do here is it's a down, down, up, down, up strumming pattern. So without the commentary, I'm going to play it on a G chord here. Here's what that sounds like. Again, down, down, up, down, up. Sounds like this. Okay? That's the strumming pattern we're going to use on this song. For all the chords, all the part, choruses, verses, that's what's happening. So let's go ahead and do that with all 4 of those chords. G, E minor, C, and D. Down, down, up, down, up. Now I want you to do me a favor here. When you're doing this, keep that arm moving. I don't want you doing this. See what I mean? How we have those spaces in between those chords? We don't want that. We want this to sound as flawless and as together as possible, all right? So keep that strumming hand moving, all right? So here we go. Nice and slowly here, and then we'll pick up the speed. G, E minor, C, and D. Down, down, up, down, up. All right, everybody? Here we go. Again, G, E minor, C, D. Let's do that again without the commentary. Again, G, E minor, C, D. Let's do a little faster now. Here we go. That's what's happening there. For my beginners, if you wanted to stop right there and just be like, okay, all the fancy stuff that you're doing at the beginning of the video, that's a little too hard for me right now. That's okay. Stick to that. It sounds great. If you start to get more comfortable, right, we can now get on to this next bit that we're going to do here. So these are the chord fills. So think of that as like a level 1. So the level 2, right, which is stuff that's happening within the song, right, we're doing those walk-ups. And we're doing some really cool like suspended chords that are happening in there. So this level 2 version would sound like this. feel how there's a little bit more movement in those chords. So this is really, really cool. So with that, let's start with the G chord. Exactly the same as we did a moment ago. Down, down, up, down, up. Now, once we hit that upstroke, we're going to do this really cool walk down. So what happens there is it's this. Again, pretty simple here, folks. We're going to get that second finger, placing that on the G note, 3rd fret of the E string. Get that second finger playing the F sharp 2nd fret of the E string. Release, open E string. That's our little descending bass line that's happening before we get into playing the E minor chord. So in context, it should sound like this. That riff is going in between the G chord and the E minor. So it sounds like this. All right, so let's go ahead and do that again. Once we get to the E minor, strum it through exactly like we did before, right? Down, down, up, down, up. You can do it, all right? Let's go ahead and do that a couple times here with the commentary and without. So here we go, G. E minor riff, E minor chord. Again. Now with the commentary, down, down, up, riff, E minor. One more time. That's what's happening there. That's the first half of it. So now let's go ahead and look at C major to D, what that progression is going to look like there. So I will just highlight that by itself. It's going to sound like this. I'm going to do that again. Now with this bit, with the C chord and the D chord, if you listen back to the original version, so the guitar players are Mike McCready and Stone Gossard and Pearl Jam, all right, each of these is a little bit different. So feel free to have a little bit of artistic license when you're doing this. If you just want to stick to the C chord and just do that, and then maybe do the little bit of the chord fills with the D chord, great. If you just wanted to do the chord fills with C, leave the D chord as is, totally cool. Listen back to the original track and you'll see how they go back and forth and really make it their own. It's really great. And I want you to feel inspired to make it your own too when you're doing this. So let's look at what's happening at C. So we've got the C chord here. I want you to give me 2 down strums. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to lift that second finger. We're going to strike the open D string, which is our D note. Then what you're going to do is you're going to bring that second finger right back to the 2nd fret of that D string, which is our E note. So this is what that sounds like. Okay, I'll do that again. From there, open G string, strike, okay, that's 2nd fret of that D string, your second finger's already there, and then lift it, kind of a pull off, I'd say, to that open D string again. So in context, I will play this slowly. This is what it sounds like. And notice how that G string and D string are still ringing. It's really good. It adds a beautiful lusciousness to this chord. All right, so. Do that again. All right, so that's what's happening with the C chord. And again, I'm sure some of you notice, hey, wait a second, she has a new guitar. We haven't seen this one. So this is my custom Fender Strat here. I had this paint job. My awesome friend Pat Wilkins out of Wilkins Guitars in Van Nuys, California. So he painted this custom paint job for me, which I love. It's like a really cool sunburst pink to white, and then the pickups, of course, are the Fishman Fluent single width Strat style pickups that are awesome with the. And I like the charge. It's good. It's good stuff. You plug it in, you're good to go. If you guys want to find out more about these pickups, because man, they sound great with tunes like this, you could check it out in the link in the video description. As always, subscribe to the channel. It helps the cause, folks. All right, so let's get on to now this D chord here. So we've got that C chord riff. Now with this D chord, here's what's happening here. All right. Or the open G string. So we'll talk about that in a second. So what we've got here is we're going to strum the D chord twice. Now what I want you to do here, we're going to play a D sus4. Okay, we're playing with this melody here. It's really beautiful. How we do the D sus4? Super easy. Okay, pinky finger. Doesn't have a job right now. Guess what? We're going to give it a job. Place it on the 3rd fret of the E string. Strum this chord. Isn't that beautiful? It's one of the chords that opens Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. Fun fact. Have that be an upstroke. After that, downstroke D chord. Then what I want you to do here, this is a D sus2. How do we play a D sus2? No problem. D chord. Lift up the 2nd finger. And strum that with that open E note in there. Isn't that great? So I'm going to play this slowly. Here's how this sounds. I'll do that again. Now, after that, we're going to strike only the D note here, 3rd fret of the B string. Sometimes I hear an open G string. Sometimes it sounds like we're playing that A note at the end of the phrase. So I'll give you both options. So here's what that sounds like with the open G string. And then we go straight into a G chord after this, because that's the next chord in the progression. Or you could do this with the A. Both sound really great, and again, I will leave that up to you. Again, I encourage you to listen to the original version that Pearl Jam does, and you can see how they really play around with all these different versions and voicing of these chord fills, so it's really, really great. So let's go ahead and now combine all 4 parts here, G major, E minor, C to D. All right, and I'm going to do it nice and slowly here, so let's take our time. Remember, perfect practice makes perfect, all right? So let's really take our time here to have good technique, nice, good, clear sounding chords here, all right? Let's really give it our best. Okay, so here we go. And again, my advanced students who are watching, let's go ahead and type some words of encouragement to the beginners who are here live with us. All right, send some good vibes their way. I'd really appreciate that. So here we go. G, E minor, C, and D with the chord fills. All right, here we go. So that's what's happening there, nice and slowly. So let's go ahead and do this as a recap. I'm going to do just our level 1, the chords, the down, down, up, down, up strumming pattern. So here's our level 1. I'm going to play it a little bit faster here. So here we go. G, E minor, C, D. Down, down, up, down, up. Here we go. that one more time. G, E minor, C, D, and one more time, G, E minor, C, D. Okay, so that's what's happening there. So that's our level 1. Now our level 2 is with the chord fill. So here we go. Again, I'm going to play this just a little bit faster. So here we go. Follow along. Let's do that again. One more time. So that's what's happening there. Pretty cool song, right? Again, chords versus all of this, all those 4 chords. Okay. Chorus versus, did I say chords? I think I said chords. Chorus versus. All right. So let's go ahead and look at this guitar solo. Again, a beginner-friendly guitar solo. The end is a little challenging, but I'll talk you through it. But for the most part, we're on 1 string here. So I'll play through just the guitar solo. All right. There's going to be a part that's repeated, and then we have that ending part. It's a little bit different. So here we go. Kind of a cool country ending there, and we'll go ahead and talk about that. So, what's happening here? Again, solo's basically on 1 string. So what I want you to do here is we're going to get our 3rd finger. Place that on the 8th fret, that B string, that's our G note. So just like that. Now what I want you to do is get that 2nd finger there. We're going to place it on the 7th fret, the number 7, 7th fret of that B string. It's going to be our F sharp. And we're going to do that twice. Now, don't forget alternate picking here. What do I mean by that? 1 note, we strike from the top of the string. The next note in the phrase, we strike upwards from the bottom of the string. So top of the string, bottom of the string. So top of the string, bottom of the string. See how I'm plucking upward there? Then we're going to end the phrase placing our 1st finger on the 5th fret of the B string, which is our E note. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's do this a few times here. All G's, F sharps, and E's. That's all we're playing here. One more time. Now phrase number 2 sounds like this. Very similar. We're just going to add 1 note. So the only thing we have that's a little bit different is going to be that D note. Let's go through the entire phrase. G, 7th or 8th fret rather, of that B string to our F sharp 7th fret B string, going back and forth between that G and F sharp. E, 5th fret of the B string to D, 3rd fret of that B string. Let's go ahead and do that again without the commentary. I'll play it a little slower. Again. Let's do that again. Now let's combine it with part 1. Part 1. Part 2. Again, part 1. Part 2. Let's do a little faster. Part 1. Part 2. Part 1. Part 2. And I don't know if you guys can catch this. Do you see how my knee is moving? Well, you probably barely see it, but my knee is moving, so I'm keeping that little metronome in my head. Pop, pop, pop. So dun, 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 dun. See how it's locking in with that metronome? Dun, 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 dun. So I want you to think of that when you're playing. Rhythm's important when you're doing solos too, so it's always good to know where those beats are, all right? So let's go ahead and do that again. I encourage you, tap your foot when you're doing this too, all right? Tap your foot along with me. Here we go. Tap, 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 tap. Part 2. One more time. Cool stuff, right? Tap, tap, tap. Think about it. Think about it. All right, so the last part here, it's very country sounding, all right? So what they're doing there is this. It's really cool open ending, which I just love. I think it's awesome. Wait, is that open string? It's just great. So this is how I'm hearing a D note in there somewhere, whether it's a second guitar or McCready is doing it this way. I'm not quite sure, but to my ear, this sounds good to me. So how we're gonna do this, and I'll give you the option. If bending while keeping, well, let's try, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm just so excited to teach you how to play this. Third finger, placing that on the 3rd fret of that B string. Okay, you're gonna place your pinky on the 3rd fret of the E string, but we're not gonna play it. It's gonna act as an anchor. You'll see why in a moment. Your 2nd finger here is going to go on the 2nd fret of the G string. That's our A note. Now, what we're gonna do, okay, we're gonna keep this D note as is. We're not gonna bend it. We are only bending this middle finger, this A note, we're bending it up a whole step to B. And then bending it down and releasing. So we don't want this string to bend too, because then it's gonna sound like a mess. We don't want this. Blech, that we don't want. So I want you to do your best to keep that D note nice and clear and clean. We don't want it becoming a D sharp, right? So we just want it to stay as D. Okay, because it really fills out the chord, which is quite nice, okay? If that is too much for you, just bend the A note. And then do the open string. That's totally fine too. If you wanted that little more of a country twang, you can do that. All right, so I will leave that up to your level of playing. So let's go ahead and do that from part 1, part 2, and then we end with that. I'll play it a little bit slowly. So here we go, part 1. Part 2. Bend. Now, I am hybrid picking this. So my 2nd finger is striking the B string upwards. My pick is striking downwards on the G string. Like a pinch, okay? And then I'm releasing with that 2nd finger on my fretted hand. This takes a little bit of practice. Let's do that a few more times here, and we're gonna call it a day, folks. This has been a fun one. Let's do it one more time. And again, as I mentioned at the top, this lesson is pre-recorded, but if you guys have questions, type them in the comments, and when I'm back in town, I'll answer as many of those as I can. Again, wishing you all so much success in your musical journey. This is always such a blast for me. Have a lot of fun with this one. This is a really great song. So everyone take care.